Good morning. Yesterday, the Russian attack on our battle group showed us how seriously they take the situation, and we have no choice but to respond in kind. We're launching an alpha strike to bomb the port of Batumi, where many Soviet military vessels as well as cargo ships are at anchor. And among these ships is a Soviet aircraft carrier Baku. VFA-87 will fly seed 10 minutes ahead of the package to disable the SA-11 site southeast of the city. Their call sign is Dodge. At the same time, VF-41, call sign Uzi, will fly a sweep over the target area. VF-84 will launch first with a division of F-14s, call sign Pontiac, followed by 4 Hornets from VFA-15, call sign Chevy, then VA-35 with 12 A-6 intruders, call sign Colt. Pontiac will proceed immediately and establish a TARCAP between waypoints 1 and 2 at Angels 30. Colt will follow in 5 mics with Chevy as close escort. Now we expect heavy enemy air activity, so keep those bombers alive. Warning red, weapons free. Dismissed.
Hey guys, Spud Knocker here, as always. And today we have the privilege of taking a look at a brand new campaign for the F-14A Tomcat from Reflected Simulations called Fear the Bones, about VF-84 in a fictional war against the Soviets. Now this campaign is going to be a little bit different than what you usually see from Reflected. This campaign is all about fun, and 80s nostalgia, just packing as much action like an action movie into a DCS World Tomcat campaign as you could possibly get in. And so as a result, things aren't going to be quite as Roger Dodger. The comms are going to be a little bit more colorful than you might see even for the 80s time frame. And it should just be a really fun romp with the F-14A Tomcat. And just like you would be flying in the movie Top Gun, I suppose you could say. And so let's go ahead and get our F-14A started up, and we'll get going and we'll talk more about this campaign as we fly through this mission that is one of the later missions of the campaign, and things will develop a little bit more slowly than they will in this mission.
Copy.
So,
ICS comm check.
as you heard the intel officer telling us in that short little audio brief, let's tell Jester we can hear him. We are Pontiac flight, and we'll be providing TARCAP for a group of F-18s that will be attacking the port of Batumi. Now let's watch this guy take off.
I'm closing the canopy.
Nice. Haha, very cool.
All right, let's start.
Alright, let's shed some light on the subject and help us start up this big old fighter. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we will bring our right-hand throttle into the idle position. And we'll start to get things started up here. And our altimeter setting, as we heard on the 5MC from the air boss, is 29908. And we'll get rid of our standby flag, making sure that it's on nomadic mode. Gun rate, I'm going to have it on high because we're flying an air-to-air mission. And we're going to have Jester tune the ARC 182 to the departure frequency. Alright, that was a mass launch, and we're a little bit behind schedule just because we're making a video here, and I'm okay with that. We're just gonna go a little bit slower so that way we can talk about this campaign. One of the cool things about this campaign that is going to be different in subsequent updates after it's released, I believe, is that these F-18s that we're seeing taken off in front of us here that are actually making up the strike package that is attacking the port city of Batumi, and the Soviet carrier Baku that we just heard the intel officer tell us about in the pre-mission brief there, they're going to be replaced by AI A6E intruders from Heatblur that are hopefully going to be coming soon. Not totally sure when they will, but I guess we'll see. And so we'll just continue on with the startup procedure. As I said, should have gotten this left engine going for a little bit earlier there. Then we would have had Jester been able to do the INS alignment a little bit quicker. But as I said, we're just trying to also talk about this campaign as we fly through it as well. Alrighty, and we'll go ahead and introduce fuel. SAS is turned on. Of course, I always forget my oxygen in the F-18 and the F-14, so we'll make sure we get that turned on. And these are the caution and advisories for the left engine. Those should be out once we start up that left-hand engine.
Roger.
There we go. Now we can get the INS aligned and be good to go. In this campaign, because it's meant to be more of an action-packed kind of campaign rather than necessarily a super-duper Roger-Dodger kind of campaign, you can take some time as you're starting up the jet. Just make sure you have all those systems aligned and good to go, so that way you don't have to worry too much about hurrying up and waiting as you try to get off of the boat here. I also recommend, with the super carrier as of now, rather than going for Cat 1, I recommend trying to go for Cat 2. Be careful of your wingman here. He tends to like to run into you at certain points while taxiing around on the carrier. So just be careful of that. Try not to stop short because the AI may not be able to compensate for that, and he might just taxi right into you. So just be careful of that. We're Pontiac 1-1, our aircraft is 201. We're in the CAG scheme on our jet. We can see beautiful VF-84 bones skin on the aircraft. And we'll make sure we set our gun ammunition count to 670. As we all know, the F-14 carries 675 rounds for its M61 Vulcan cannon. However, we can't set it to 675, so I like to go under and just set it to 67, so that way we can be a little under with our estimation of how many rounds we have left, rather than being a little bit over. Alrighty, at this point, we should be ready to taxi. And we'll get the ground crew, electric power off, and we'll get the huffer disconnected.
Disconnect ground air supply.
Get our nose wheel steering turned on. And we'll make sure we've got our TACAN set, transmit, receive, 69 X-ray, that is good to go. TACAN is good here. Get rid of our stick for a moment, and we'll check the course of the boat. Course of the boat is 345.
We're ready to taxi.
Alright, we are ready to taxi. Park and break off. And we'll wait for the rest of that checklist once we get hooked up on the catapult. We'll go ahead and start our taxi. Like I said, I think we're going to go to Cat 2 for today. Keep an eye out for him. Alright, our deck crew really need, especially our plane directors, really need some light wands. That would be very, very helpful. Taxiing in the F-14A is definitely a little tricky. Alright, we'll stop here and we'll kneel. Because the jet, these good old TF-30s definitely lag, so I always find myself going a little too fast while taxiing because I have to push my throttle up more than I really need to. I just got to make sure I'm a little bit more patient with taxiing with this jet. Alright, I'll push up the throttles to get into the shuttle and then put under tension. There we go. We're on the shuttle. We're stuck on it, so now we're going to push the throttle up to get up and over the shuttle. There we go. Back. And they're going to cock the catapult for us. I'm going to take this guy off and decrease the VDI brightness because I prefer it to be green rather than red. And at this point, we are going to ensure that spoiler brake module is on. Wings are coming out up to auto. Should be coming out to 20 degrees. Oh, that is a mistake on my part. We actually want to have this off. And then we'll start to go through our checklist.
Fuel feed, auto transfer, dump off, feed tanks full, bingo set. Canopy down, lights out. Lights out up here. Seat arms, top and bottom, command eject aft. Time arm, top and bottom, showing MCO on the window. Staff. All circuit breakers set.
Circuit breakers are set.
Master test off.
Master test is off.
Normal. Compass sync, standby gyro erect. Wings. 20 degrees, auto, both lights out. Flaps and slats. Pull down. Spoilers and anti-skid. Spoiler module on, spoiler brake off. Trim. Set. Harness locked. Lights locked. Controls. Here comes the wipeout. Left. Right. Forward. Feels good. All warning and caution lights out. Line R out. Ready to go? Ready.
Alright, there goes, I think, our number 3. We're going to salute.
Good shot.
Flaps up, gear up, and we'll climb up to 500 feet. And we'll pull out afterburner. There's 500 feet. And we'll maintain 500 for a DME of 7 from the tack hand of the carrier. Getting up a little bit above 500 feet. Start to bring it back down again. And our wingmen, of course, are doing all kinds of unrealistic things, trying to get back to formation with us, but that's okay. I'm going a little bit fast anyway, and we're still climbing. Let's go ahead and bring this girl back down to 500 feet. Hello, 3. Wow, he's going fast. Holy shit. Alright, there's DME of 6. We're right at 500 feet. Going too fast for sure.
Pontiac 1 flight, push uniform and channel 2. 2 copy. Pontiac 1-3. You got it. Yeah, good.
Alright, so that should be the AWACS frequency. And we're going to start climbing up to 30,000 feet. Coming towards waypoint 1 for our TARCAP. And that's going to be the departure procedure. And that's going to be the departure procedure for almost all of the missions in this campaign. And you'll be eased into it and get a local area familiarization flight as well on your first mission in this campaign, and it'll kind of help ease you into all this kind of stuff. And like I said, this campaign is not meant to be so Roger Dodger. It's meant to be more on the fun side and meant to be a good introduction for folks coming into flying the F-14. Because as we all know, flying the F-14 is hard. It is not an easy jet to fly. And then trying to add all the Roger Dodger stuff, such as flying DPs, stars, SIDS, Case 1s, Case 2s, Case 3s, all that kind of stuff in the F-14 is made all that much harder because of the fact that you actually have to fly the jet, and it doesn't fly it for you like the F-A-18C or F-16C. So we'll get our wingman flight to rejoin, and I turned up the radio volume for you guys so that way you guys can hopefully hear the custom voiceover work a little bit better in the recording of this mission. So we're just going to slowly and easily bring our aircraft up to that 30,000 feet out towards waypoint 1, and then we'll establish our TARCAP and help our F-A-18 strike package, which, like I said earlier, will be replaced by A-6s, get to their target area. And it looks like I made the dumb mistake of not getting my lights turned on as I was about to launch on the cat. There we go. However, we'll get those off because we're in pretty deep into bad guy territory. This campaign is set on the Caucasus.
115, 59 miles. Angels 27.
I believe that's our E2 that is out there. This guy right here. It is set in the Caucasus map, so that way you guys can have... A lot of you guys will be able to pick up this campaign right away. We'll have the F-14 and be able to have fun with it without having to worry about what maps you have downloaded and whatnot. But keep in mind that this is a little bit of a strange scenario to have an American aircraft carrier inside the Black Sea while in a large engagement against Soviet forces. For one, you have the fact that it's actually technically illegal under international maritime law and international law to have an aircraft carrier inside the Black Sea. As well as the fact that the Black Sea, even though looking around us, I guess this water stretches all the way to the horizon, the Black Sea is not very big. It is certainly not blue water, and it would be extremely dangerous to have an American carrier air group inside of the Black Sea because there is no room to maneuver, there's no room to hide, and there's no room to get away from marauding Soviet bombers that are going to be after you no matter where you go. Cruise missiles, submarines, frigates, destroyers, anything and everything the Russians could throw at an American carrier air group would be utilized in order to sink that precious, precious aircraft carrier. And so that's a little bit unrealistic, but it's the free map that we have to deal with here in DCS World, and maybe something like that in the future will be rectified by the addition of the Marianas map, which will be free with a whole lot of blue, deep blue, nice water in the Pacific Ocean. So we got 2 with us here. And so you guys can see, our Mach is climbing while our indicated airspeed is dropping. And we can also see that our ground speed is quite high as we climb, much higher than indicated airspeed. And the reason for this, for those of you who maybe don't know the reason why indicated airspeed drops as you climb, and that's why Mach indicator readouts are a better actual description of how fast you're actually flying, is the simple fact that as you get higher and higher and higher, there's fewer and fewer and fewer molecules being squished into your pitot tubes on your jets, and thus hitting the diaphragm inside your airspeed indicator, or ASI, to actually flex that diaphragm and show your actual speed. As a result, you'll notice as you get higher and higher and higher, your Mach will typically increase and your ground speed will typically increase, but that indicated airspeed will typically decrease. Looks like 2's with us. Not sure what happened to 3 and 4. Let's take a look at the map.
2, let's fight, 10 o'clock.
It looks like they are with us, even though I don't see them. Anyway. And we're still climbing about 5 degrees nose up to get up here to our altitude. I typically like to fly the jet with the takeoff mode of the HUD up while I'm climbing up to my cruising altitude. And the reason for that is my pitch ladder on the HUD actually gives me indications of what degrees of pitch I'm actually at for the attitude of my aircraft. Whereas other modes of the HUD, specifically cruise mode, only gives me a heading tape up top. Now it looks like we're 80 nautical miles out from our TARCAP position. Number 2 over there is in a low-vis paint scheme. And there's 3 and 4. Looks like they're in high-vis, beautiful 1980s paint schemes as well, which is fantastic. Keep in mind that all of what you're seeing here
Anchoring at waypoint 1 is fragged. Any word? Colt left, we have you on your screen. Including your operating airspace, climb to Angels 15 and maintain listening to watch this frequency for updates. Colt, copy all. Pushing to waypoint 2, Angels 15, out.
So keep in mind that everything you're seeing here is, of course, a work in progress and is all subject to change. So Reflected may decide to put for instance, a high-vis, beautiful 1980s skin on our number 2 jet here to match 3 and 4 over on our right. So as the intel officer said in our briefing, we are definitely expecting a high amount of enemy air activity over the area. But keep in mind, this is 1980s, late 1980s, so I'm thinking we're typically going to be facing MiG-29s, probably more or less MiG-23s, maybe MiG-25s, MiG-21s, of course, still a ton of MiG-21s in frontline service for the Soviets, especially here in the Caucasus, Georgia region, where you have a lot of Warsaw Pact air forces gathered, specifically the Georgian Air Force.
Dodge 1, in the hot from the west, engaging SA-11.
Alright, so it looks like the Seed guys of Dodge Flight are doing their thing. So that is fantastic. And hopefully they will take out that SA-11 to make our job and the Strike Flight's job much, much easier. That's checking everything. RPM's good. Everything's looking good. Everything's balanced.
There is a friendly T2, 10 o'clock, 4 miles.
Defending.
And that's our E2 Hawkeye.
Dodge 2, Magnum SA-11, hold 190 for 3.
Seems like those Hornets got a little close for comfort to that SA-11 before they fired their harms at it.
There's a friendly Bra, 105, 77 miles, Angels 20.
There he is. That's got to be our Seed flights as well as their F-14 escort as well out there doing their thing.
110, 76 miles, Angels 20.
Magic 1-1, pushing from waypoint 1 at 27,000.
Vector 281, 259, Dodge 1.
Okay, there's dirt, 12 o'clock.
All right. We're just cruising out here to make sure we stay in front of the gaggle of F-18s on their way to the target area. We can see our Seed flight egressing from the area here.
Angels 20.
45 miles out from our TARCAP. And we're going to adjust slightly to our right-hand side. Oh, there we go. We got a MiG-29 Spike. Got an air intercept radar up there.
105, 74 miles, Angels 20.
Looks like we got a Big Bird and a Flat Face out there looking at us.
We've got a Bandit 2-ship, Bra, 105, 74 miles.
All right, let's go ahead and arm up.
He's coming around on your 5. Missile, this is 4, break. Reinforcement hit. The chutes are not deploying. They're falling free.
Flight. Open formation.
Top. Nice shot. He's going down.
All right, that's one scratch, one MiG-29. In the late 1980s, they could be Su-27s, but Su-27s were mostly delivered to the PVO to start off with. And because we're not in, like, Siberia area or far northern Russia, it's more likely that these are going to be MiG-29 Fulcrums.
Susie 1, Flash 2, say again, Flash 2, being tracked by an SA-2 for the northeast. Egressing west, request RTB. Roger, confirmed, all bandits down, picture clean, you're clear to RTB. Alright, let's go home now.
Right. Looks like we drifted to the right slightly, or left slightly, so we'll go ahead and correct back to the right-hand side. And that way we can enter our TARCAP with a nice left-hand turn towards waypoint 2. Waypoint 2 is going to be off of our left here based off of our briefing materials. So that way we can kind of do a nice curve around it from our right-hand side around the waypoint to our left-hand side and just make it nice and perfect. And Mother should be steaming to the north. It looks like, yep, she's definitely coming further to our left, back behind us here. So that's to be expected as she keeps on steaming that way while we are engaged in our strike mission at this point. 17 nautical miles. Picture so far is clean. Our Hawkeye hasn't come up with anything for us. Make sure we get our lights are off. They are. We're good there. All right, cool. Countermeasures are good to go. All right, making sure we've got good tone from our Sidewinder. That's good to go.
Hey, I got some dirt at 11 o'clock.
And we're good with all of that. Definitely getting some radar spikes from enemy ships at this target area. And we're about to get a flip on our HSI, which means that we can make that left-hand turn towards waypoint 2. It's going to be a heading of about 030 in my estimate. And there's our flip. It's right off of our 3 o'clock position, or our 9 o'clock position. We'll go to...
Roger that. Switching to 2.2.
On station at Asprag. Any updates? One Magic, copy. Picture clean.
And we'll start to come around towards waypoint 2 to set up for our TARCAP. Brightness all the way up as far as it'll go, but the sun is still definitely overpowering the old technology of the HUD in the F-14. And we lost a little altitude, tried to make a nice level turn, but definitely failed on that, so we'll climb back up to 30,000. So that way we can stay at the altitude that we're fragged to, so that way we can potentially avoid any conflict with those F-18s that are going to be attacking the target area down below us, as well as make sure we stay up nice and high to make sure that our AIM-54s can reach out and touch enemy MiGs as far out as possible. So if we want to try to avoid dogfighting with enemy MiGs, because they're usually smaller, faster,
2 o'clock.
and more maneuverable. Looks like there's a small fire down there. Down at the port of Batumi, probably started from a harm impacting a radar station. Alright, and again, I'm offset just slightly to the right-hand side of our waypoint, so that way we can make a nice racetrack pattern around it. No need to be burning too much gas at this point, so we're just trying to maintain just a little bit around 300 knots, so that way we've got plenty of speed in case I need to maneuver. If we have a spike from a MiG or a launch of a SAM at us, but just also trying to conserve a little bit of fuel. Still got 15.8, so we're good there.
Go ahead, 1-4. Say, caveman, Grit, how does it feel to fly with a wet flight suit? Or did you guys bring an actual wetsuit this time? Very funny, Elvis. Not. That's what you get for letting a big kick your ass.
And there's just an example of some of the more light-hearted banter that's going to be throughout this campaign. Far more Top Gun style banter on the radios than you would expect to see in a real kind of situation, but it makes the campaign more fun, more accessible for people who just want to get eased into learning how to fly the Tomcat, and specifically the F-14A Tomcat, which takes all the peculiarities of flying the F-14B and just turns them up to 11 when flying the F-14A, and it's a good way to have some fun. It's definitely not as cheesy as Ace Combat type dialogue from the same idea for the FA-18 campaign that was made to resemble Ace Combat, that's for sure. Just doing another sweep around my cockpit, make sure we're definitely ready to go for combat in case that is needed. Looks like we're all good to go.
Yes, sir. Switching to steer point 1.
Alright. Steer point 1 is going to be a heading of about
Friendly, raw.
165 degrees.
69 miles. Angels 22.
There we go. Now we can see our HSD a little bit easier. And that would appear to be our Hornet strike package as they're inbound towards the target area. Alright, that's Pontiac Flight, that's us. Alright, going 063 for about 60 nautical miles.
Okay, there's dirt 12 o'clock and nails 11 o'clock.
Can't necessarily trust those initial RWR spikes from the raw equipment of our F-14. So we'll roll out on the heading that the AWACS gave us. And we'll make sure we've got Phoenixes selected. And it looks like we've got MiG-23 spikes arrayed out a little bit. And large because we're working with Jester. There we go, there's our target.
Bandit 2-ship, Bra 260, scratch that, 070, 48
Alright, they're
miles.
40 nautical miles. And we will tell our wingman, flight, engage,
Flight.
bandits.
Engage bandits.
And somehow the F-14As that are flown by the AI tend to outrun me, no matter what I do in the jet, even if I push down a little bit to ease off the G and go for about 0.5 G, which is where the F-14 likes to live for acceleration. And we'll go ahead and we will Fox 3.
Damn, we've got mud. 11 o'clock.
Jaws, Fox 3.
There goes our M54. And we'll go ahead and we will come off to the right-hand side. And we'll ease off the burner. There we go. And there's a missile launch from a SA-2 on the ground.
He's spiked. Get ready. Missile, missile, missile. 11 o'clock. Hot. Break right.
Pontiac, Black 1.
Missile. 11 o'clock. Hot. Break right.
Splash 2. Pontiac 1, watch out Floggers.
Alright, so we got all those floggers. Pretty sure that
10 miles.
spike we've got from the SA-2 is Splash.
Pontiac 1 will go.
There we go.
Block, block.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 falling debris from those MiG-23s. Pretty sure that SA-2 spike was splashed from my wingman here, but it looks like none of my wingmen actually got hit by it. And we ended up being fine. Glad I only fired one missile, so that way we could keep that Phoenix for any additional bandits that may be coming after us at this point. And I'll have the flight go ahead and rejoin back up. Flights.
Flight. Join up.
Target destroyed. All target to the west. Request RTB.
And it looks like our F-18s have done their job.
Roger, Vector 292. Code 1 is RTB.
Alright, let's see where my wingmen are. They are all still alive.
Flight. Join up.
There we go. There's one. We'll go ahead and proceed towards waypoint 2.
Roger, roger. Switching to steer point 2.
That way we can be ready for any other bandits that are going to be coming out to play to try and catch the strike package on their way, egressing back towards the ship.
Yep, that Singer's on our 6. And, oh, dirt. 9
And it looks like the SA-2 has reloaded and is now back on the air. There's two of our guys. I think that's 3 and 4.
4 Fishbeds inbound. Bulls 340 for 120 east of 25. You're clear to lead the strike force and engage the bandits. Chevy 1, Wilco, committed.
All right, now we got
Contact 1, we're on our way.
340. Our bullseye is more or less on top of the target area, so we'll just fly to headings 340. Try to get them up on our TID. There they are. That was pretty quick. Let's see if we can get an altitude on them. And it looks like we got some more F-14s from Colt Flight over here that have detached themselves from the strike package and are now going to be joining in the hunt for these fish beds. There we go. Alright, looks like we got one there looking for... His altitude's pretty high. Range 74 nautical miles. Not comfortable firing a Phoenix at that range. Seeing as how we're flying north into more of the Soviet Union proper with the border coming right along the Caucasus Mountains up here, a little bit worried about being drawn into a SAM trap that the Soviets may have laid out and using a relatively old aircraft like the Fishbed as bait to draw us out.
Got it. Got him, FTT.
Alright, about 50 nautical miles out at this point, a little under.
58 miles.
58 miles, that is. There we go, now passing through 50 nautical miles.
4 o'clock and dirt 6 o'clock.
Still worried about potential pop-up threats from SAMs along the coastline up here, so I'm going to try and not get too close. And if these guys turn around and run, I'm probably not going to follow them up into the Soviet Union proper. Especially, well, I've got plenty of gas, but I don't want to deal with a massed amount of SAMs coming at us. But anyway, let's get rid of this heavy Phoenix.
Jaws, Fox 3.
Alright, so they're up there in contrailing altitude, so it should be pretty easy to keep an eye on these guys. We've got STT'd. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like I'm going after the trailer, so this is probably the number 2 guy. And hopefully we didn't just lose him on radar. We're doing an STT Phoenix launch, so that can be risky. And we'll start to come down more towards a good maneuvering speed, so that way we don't get caught short trying to go too fast with a huge turning circle. Alright, this guy is going defensive. He realizes there's something after him now. Okay, they're 20 nautical miles. There they are. There's my guy up top there, flying at top cover. Looks like the leader's down low. Let's see what my missile's doing. And... boom.
Fight's coming our way.
So if we can get this guy locked up for a Sparrow shot. And we got 2 guys up high still. Okay, we're 10 nautical miles out.
Jaws, Fox 1.
Alright, let's see if that missile will be able to get him. We're pretty high, so it's pretty good parameters for a Fox 2, or sorry, a Fox 1, and it missed. So we're gonna go right to Phoenix, right to Sidewinders. There's a Fox 2. Come on, come on, come on, and got him. Now going for the other ones. Trying to get as many of these guys from a frontal aspect as possible. Flight, engage, bandits.
Spike, 6 o'clock. Spike, 7 o'clock. Spike, 12 o'clock.
Alright, there's that MiG-21. We just merged with him. He just merged with, holy shit, like 4 Tomcats.
1 mile.
And I just lost track of him.
7 o'clock high.
There he is, he's going high.
380 knots.
Being up here in the contrails definitely helps. Hopefully we don't get caught short by a SAM here.
Coming right.
Alright, we've got 1 Sparrow left.
Oh, shit, it missed. 410.
Alright, looks like good parameters for a Sparrow shot. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Maybe 4 nautical miles would be great.
350 knots.
Alright. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is.
320 knots.
Hopefully it doesn't go stupid. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, Sparrow. Come on, come on, come on.
Speed 280.
And it did not connect.
Wilco. 12 o'clock. Dropping tanks. 240 knots. Singer, 10 o'clock.
Oh shit. Sam's. That's what I thought. Oh, that's that same SA2. Alright, he's going way down there.
320.
He's still in burner. And somebody got him. Perfect.
400. Speed 470.
Alright, we'll pull back on the throttle here so that way we don't
We're at 500 knots.
get to a point where we're going to be over-G'ing the aircraft. And weapon selector off. I believe that should have taken care of it. And there goes that fish bed into the sea. Let's have our flight rejoin.
470.
Flight, join up.
Jester in the backseat still thinks we're in a dogfight. Alright, and we'll head back to our TARCAP position.
F-18, 2 o'clock, 3 miles.
2 o'clock, 3 miles.
There's a friendly 3-ship, Raw, 230, 44 miles, Angel 7. There's a friendly F-18, 1 o'clock low, 3 miles.
Don't see him. Anyway. So that was exciting. I was hoping we were going to be able to go guns on that MiG-21, but no joy on that. And let's see where everybody is. All of my...
Okay, he's locking us, 7 o'clock.
Who's locking us? Oh, we still got a MiG-21 spike. So we'll go ahead and turn around. I believe for a mission accomplished, we gotta down all of these MiG-21s. Let's see what they're doing. Flight, engage,
Flight,
bandits.
engage bandits.
Looking for this guy. Not seeing anything on our radar down here. 358 for 40. Ah, there he is. Looks like he's trying to head back home.
Okay, he's locking us, 1 o'clock. Can do that. Roger. He's locked.
Alright, so that's going to be the MiG-21. So it looks like we may be able to go into a dogfight after all.
Target, 27 miles.
Fight. Engage bandits.
And now he just got shot down by Colt Flight. That's what I figured was going to happen.
Fishbeds down, request RTB. One message, copy. All bandits down, picture clean. You're clear to RTB. Contact room runner 244.5. 244.5, plan 1.
Still got 9,000 pounds of gas, so we're doing pretty darn good on gas. Alright, so sorry, wingman, kind of just jerked you around for no reason. Alright. So it looks like Mother is going to be in this various direction.
We've got a friendly guerrilla group bearing 245, 63 miles, Angels 9.
Fight. Join them.
Alright, and now, at this point, we can actually tune in. After we get a mission accomplished, we can tune on the radio and listen to classic 80s moments on the radio.
Is there enough fuel? We're not going to know till near the end. There's your leader crossing the line, 186 laps, 0.3 of a second back. You've got Al Unser Jr. They're at Bob Laney's position.
Well, as they cut through, it is still Emerson Fittipaldi. He is picking up some slow traffic, but so is Al Jr. They go through two very, very smoothly, just 3 cars in front of them. But right now, it is Emo with Al Jr. about a split second behind as they head to 3.
Al Jr. has been looking for speed all month long. He said, we just got to finish the race. Again, he's way down low, which means he may have some handling problems while Emo is staying high and that car just on a rail.
But it appears he is closing in on Emo once again. He has Raul Boisel between himself and Emo.
So they come down the main straightaway. Emerson Fittipaldi does not need a stop. He's the leader. Al Unser Jr., maybe, maybe not. He may have enough fuel. He was confident of chances this race day when he began.
And we'll go ahead and turn this off so we can dock some more as we head back to the ship. Alright, select channel. We're going to go back to channel 7, 244.5 for the approach frequency for the carrier. And it's going to be a Theodore Roosevelt inbound.
201, parking bumps 0994100, Angels 23.5, holding aspect 204, 202, 203, low state 2.6.
Alright, 340, we will see you at 10. And we're good there. I will just fly inbound towards the carrier. And one of our wingmen has critically low fuel, but that's to be expected from the AI. So hopefully we don't lose them, but it definitely is a possibility. So, flight, rejoin formation. Oh, there they are. Perfect. So when in formation, these guys don't like to fly fast, but when they've been off the leash to attack a target, the AI definitely flies, that's for sure. Alright, everything's looking good, and we'll head inbound to the carrier for the trap. We'll go ahead and arm, or safe up the jets. We have no missiles left, so Sidewinder and missile prep don't even matter, even if we were to get jumped by a MiG. Now see the shoreline here that is arcing around to the northwest here is the Soviet borders more or less right around here. And so we just need to be really, really careful in case we get MiGs come jump at us while we are heading back to the carrier. And this unfortunately is why the idea of a carrier in the Black Sea is just kind of non-plausible at all, is because of this fact. Our carrier is steaming north directly at the inner borders of the Soviet Union and towards Crimea, which just would not fly in real life, that's for sure. Alright, we're 80 nautical miles out, You can definitely tell that she's steaming to the north as our heading is changing slightly towards the carrier. And let's see if we can get a new radial. Radial about 274-ish to the carrier. Technically, that means that we are on the bottom here. We're on the radial 0, or the about the 0.95 radial from the carrier itself. You can think of it in terms of how to know what radial you're actually on. Is the actual course that you're flying to the target is going to be the heading that you fly towards the TACAN station, whether that's a tanker, an aircraft carrier, a ground-based TACAN, or a mobile TACAN. That is your course line. Now, to make it a little bit easier, if we flipped this all the way around 180 degrees and then recentered up our CDI, we could then get the exact radial we're on, so 0.95 on the radial. I just had a hard time actually seeing it because of the diamond down here. Makes it a little bit harder to read the actual lines. And think about it this way. Think about radials as the spokes of a bicycle wheel. And so to fly inbound on one of those bicycle spokes, that in this case, this spoke is named the 0.95 radial. To fly inbound on it, we have to fly a heading of about 275 degrees. So like if, for instance, if we flip this guy back around 180 degrees again, we then have 275 for the actual heading we're going to fly. Whereas the radial itself is the reciprocal heading that we're actually flying on, because that radial that we're flying on inbound is actually outbound from the carrier, being broadcast outbound at a heading of 0.95. It's really, really mind-bending in a way to kind of think about it for people who are just being introduced to kind of more instrument flying type topics, but it's really not that hard to think about once you kind of understand this idea of how radials work, how they emanate from that center position from the carrier, ground-based, tanker, whatever it is. However, it can definitely be a little bit confusing for folks who are flying or learning to fly, you know, in IMC or under IFR rules for the first time. Also, of course, very important if you are just flying VFR, like we're just flying in VMC at this point, basically just flying on our own, not controlled by anybody other than the tower, knowing that we're inbound to the carrier, is the fact that we need to know exactly where we're going. And so, like, when our pilot checked in with Mother, he checked in and told them that we were on the 0.95-ish radial. And the reason we get that is not the direction we're going, but the actual name of the radial we're on, which is the 0.95 radial. That signal that we're tracking is being broadcast from the ship at a heading of 0.95. Kind of mind-bending, and I know it can be definitely confusing to folks both in DCS and in real life, but it's kind of one of those things in aviation where you're just like, oh, that's the way it is. Don't question it too much, because there's a lot of things that if you question in aviation too much, your brain will just explode. And so we want to try to avoid that. All right, we're about 50 nautical miles out, so why don't we go ahead and we will come down for just a nice, gentle 5-degree descent, or maybe even about 2.5 degree descent, coming down. And we can see that we got to fly a heading of 0.76 to fly inbound on the 0.96 radial at this point, as the wind is pushing us slightly. So we'll just come left for some wind correction as we get towards the carrier here. And while the F-14 is a remarkably stable aircraft, and it has to be because of the fact that it was designed before fly-by-wire, it can still definitely be pushed by wind and whatnot. That'll definitely blow you off course eventually. And we can see the wind based off of our velocity vector here in the air, in the landing mode of our HUD. We are being pushed very gently from right to left. And as the approach controller on Mother told us, we have an expected BRC of 340. So if we look at our little HSD here, we can see that 340 is going to be right here. So we're going to be making a nice, easy right-hand turn right to the carrier. So that's going to be pretty simple for us. Now 31 nautical miles out. We kind of pull back on the throttle a bit. We're still a bit high, so let's go ahead and bring it down to a good 5 degrees nose down descent. And we can see with the new lighting effects, the lighting in the aircraft can be overpowered by the sun. So that's why I just checked to see what my ARC 159 frequency was set to, just to kind of double check that. It was blanked out, had to look down to our bottom left. And that happens in aircraft all the time. You know, it gets pretty darn bright up here, so you got to make sure that you have other ways of checking these kinds of things. And we'll just go ahead and pull the throttle back to idle. Basically didn't even move the wings from their automatic position. There really was no need to today. We weren't dropping bombs or anything like that. We just wanted the most efficient, most efficiency as possible out of these wings for this mission. DME of 21. She's off at our 1 o'clock here. Let's see if... There she is. Oh no, there she is over there. See, that's why it's good to have some support ships around the aircraft, because we can really see the aircraft carrier a little bit better that way. One of the small defects about DCS 2.7 is the fact that the water is just always so smooth and glassy. It's really, really hard to visually tell how high above the water you are, because in most of my missions that I made before, I'd always have white caps because it allows players to have a little bit more visual references to the water to see how high you are above it. So we just gotta be really careful, keeping an eye on our altimeter. Almost ready to tell the approach controller that we see her at 10. And we gotta slow this aircraft down. We may have to do a kind of a 270 descending entry at this point because we are too fast. We're so fast the aircraft won't even let our air brakes come out.
See you at 10. Update state switched down. 201, low state 1.3.
And in order to slow ourselves down, we're just going to go ahead and make a descending 270 turn. And we can see our CDI is off to the right of our course. And you guys can really tell here, with the water just being flat as glass, it's very, very hard to see what your altitude is above the water. And we're directly on course. We just really need to turn to a heading of 340, and we should be right in line with the carrier with a nice little offset just to the right-hand side, so that way we can fly a good approach to it. And we're going to send down to 2,000. And we'll slow the jet down to about 250 knots for the hold over the ship. There's the ship. You can enter the Marshal stack from any heading, but I tend to find it easier to go ahead and enter the Marshal stack from the aft position on the carrier. We can see we're about 9.8 DME. From the carrier itself, we'll keep descending on down. To reduce the HUD brightness slightly. And this is where the autopilot's really going to be your friend, because this is a little bit scary. Coming into the carrier with the sea being this flat and glassy. And it looks like the Hornets and other Tomcats are currently being trapped. Let's artificially give her a little bit of nose up trim. Coming down to 250, 1,000 feet to go.
There's a friendly Hornet, 12 o'clock, 2 miles.
And we'll see how well I land on the carrier today. And we didn't get a signal Charlie, so we will enter the Marshal stack at 2,000, the default altitude for the DCS AI. Did not tell me any other altitude to stack at, so we'll just go for 2,000. And we can see an F-18 there is coming around on base to final. Looking for a flip. Not doing a very good job of holding my altitude. Just trying to hold. Comes the flip. And we'll go ahead and do a 5 DME arc Marshal stack over the carrier. Usually about a 30 degrees of bank with a level turn will give you Alright, looks like our signal's Charlie. About to trap that last F-18 down there. And we will go ahead and commence now that our signal is Charlie. Once we get to the other side of our stack. Looking for that good 5 DME. Looks like we got a nice destroyer out here to help us out with that, so that's nice. That plane guard destroyer, I always do that in my missions as well, is make sure I have a plane guard destroyer at 5 nautical miles DME to help the players with their Marshal stacking. Yeah, a little bit fast. Whoops. Oh, coming down. Master arm safe. And we're a little bit beyond 5 DME, but right over this destroyer, so that's perfect. We'll go ahead and accelerate to 350 as we come down to 800 feet. We're going to keep our radar altimeter at a good 600 feet for our base to final turn around the carrier here. Hopefully this goes well. There's a very real possibility that this will not go not very well at all. And that is okay. whoops, not quite the descending turn that I wanted. In the F-14, you gotta keep the velocity vector on the actual horizon. There is no real horizon for you, and a lot of times pilots in real life would just simply turn off the HUD for landing because it was too much of a distraction and it wasn't all that accurate to what they needed anyway. Alright. About 800 feet AGL. Trim a little bit nose down. Try to get in line with the carrier. Right at 350 knots, which is perfect. Looking around the giant canopy bows of the F-14, as always. Now we're a little high. And we're a little too far offset from the carrier, but we'll make it work. Deck is looking clear for us, fantastic. And get the speed brake out as we turn. I'm going to keep the turn a little bit on the wide side, so that way we have plenty of separation. I just realized that I should have had my wings back to about 55 degrees for the approach, so I'm going to get some hell for that when I get down on the deck, because I didn't look very cool, and Tomcat pilots always have to look cool. That is the most important thing. I know you're low on fuel forward. we're in the pattern. Start to bring back some power.
12 o'clock, 4 miles.
Oh boy, this is probably going to be ugly. Let's see how it goes. Trimming that nose up there. Gear down. DLC works. Whoa, hello. That's the AI for you. And we'll start to make our turn. Definitely high. We're at 1,000 feet. We've maintained about 1,000 feet throughout the whole pattern here. There we go. Now our AI is breaking away from us.
20 auto, gears down, sat on, flaps full, DLC engaged and checked, hook down, harness locked, speed brakes out, spoiler brakes off, fuel checked.
Alright, we're just under 600 feet. Keep the turn coming. Nice and gentle. Gotta keep that nose up. We're nowhere near our on-speed AOA. Come on, Tomcat. We're a little low. And this whole F key flipping through radios thing is just too slow.
201, Tomcat Hall, 7.1.
A little low. Coming in. A little fast. Alright, now we're lined up right. Coming left. Coming left. Coming back right. Oh, well, that sucked.
Was the Admiral watching on that? That was a 3-wire.
Huh, well, Jester liked it, so I guess that's pretty okay. Just was not anywhere near centerline, which is not good at all. Probably took out a Hawkeye or two with my left wing. I guess it's better to be biased to the left than to the right, landing on the carrier. It was good on altitude, just the lineup was not good. The glide slope seemed pretty stable to me. The lineup was just not where it needed to be. And now, because we don't have any plane directors, I'm going to go ahead and get as close as I can back to my original parking spot. Hopefully we can avoid scraping the paint off the radome of this Hornet. We'll park next to one of these VF-41 jets. Alright. Time to shut her down, Jester. Try to shut off as many avionics systems as I can back here. Alrighty, guys. Well, there you go. This is a later stage mission of the Fear the Bones campaign from Reflected Simulations. I hope you enjoyed watching. I know I didn't fly it absolutely perfectly, but it is a campaign that's made to make you feel like a really good Tomcat pilot and make you feel like a really badass pilot and not just part of a teeny tiny cog in the machine of the Carrier Air Wing. It's made to be an 80s action movie-esque mission. Oh, that was a nice landing. And we definitely highlighted the fact that I need a lot more practice flying the F-14A on the boat, and I'm sure we'll get that soon. And I hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed watching this. And this campaign comes out June 16th. It will be pretty darn soon. And hopefully we'll get those AI A6E intruders to replace these old FA-18 Hornets on the decks of our supercarriers as soon as possible. So, fly safe out there, guys, and enjoy this campaign and enjoy this 80s nostalgia-filled romp through the Black Sea on CVN 71. Alrighty, guys, stay safe out there and fly healthy. Or I guess fly safe and stay healthy. Alrighty, guys, we'll see you in the next one. At least he was on center line.